Welcome to a new edition of Globedades. This is a podcast from the Faculty of Global Studies at Universidad Anáhuac, Mexico. My name is Arturo Flores, and today we have a very special guest from the neighbor state of LA in the US. Rey Jímenez, it's a pleasure to welcome you today.
Thank you, Arturo. Thank you very much. It's a pleasure to be here.
So Ray, I want you to first introduce yourself. Um, since when do you live in LA? Where were you born originally? What was the decision that you took to go to the US, to stay there, live there, make a life there? How did it all happen?
Well, actually, I'm third generation born here in Santa Paula, California. So my grandmother, my dad's mom, was born in Limonera Ranch in Santa Paula. My dad was born in Limonera Ranch in Santa Paula. My mom was born also in Santa Paula. So I'm third generation born here. So I didn't have to make the choice to come. And I'm sure, I see, I have, my company had at one time 100 employees. So uh, 90, 99 of them were undocumented immigrants. And I just have to tell you that I don't see any people that are harder working than the people from Mexico. I mean, I could not keep up with them. There's no way. And, there's no way. It's impossible. What they go through, what
Yeah,
they actually are really good earners in the fields because they're so fast. I
yeah.
mean, we had to pay people by the piecework, and when people don't make the minimum, then we have to subsidize. Well, these people, they make way past that. It's just amazing how fast they work.
Yeah, and well, I have to mention to the audience that how we met, because we met a couple of years back. We were still in the pandemic, and I met Ray because, as he said, he has a business in LA, and I was trying to sell some avocados over there. So we met through this process of doing a business, basically, and then we started to share like common interests, and we started to talk about other things. And since the election took place just very recently in the US, I told him, you know what, you have to talk about this in the podcast. So that's how I decided to invite him, and I'm very very pleased to have him today. And Ray, well, you were saying that all these Mexicans are very hardworking people, and that, of course, you were like, um, in a way, very influenced by Mexico as well. So how do you feel about the result of the election, and what do you expect, or which are some of the things that you think could improve, or what could happen in this relationship that we have, love hate relationship between the US and Mexico?
I think that the election for me was very stressful because we've just come out of 4 years where the United States, I think, has been the closest thing to a third world country that it's ever been in its existence.
Wow,
Um,
that's very interesting that you say that.
yeah, well, some of the things that were taking place in the courts, some of the prosecutions, not only Trump but individual citizens. Um, we had a weaponized government go against their political party, and that uh, if you study law and if you don't if somebody doesn't see what was wrong with all of that, then they're just turning a blind eye. I'll just give you one example. They prosecuted Trump for having what is it, top secret documents in his, and nobody really knows the ins and outs of how they were dealing with the government. But I mean, they literally stormed his Mar-Lago. They stormed it with SWAT, and I mean, here they're communicating back and forth, and then the next thing you know, they're storming them with SWAT. And Joe Biden did the same exact thing, and he was actually not a president when he acquired those documents. So it was even bigger. It was even bigger. I'm just going to say it was probably very illegal, and they just swept it under the rug. Because why? Because he was a senile old man. Well, how can you let a senile old man run one of the greatest countries in the world? I think Mexico is an amazing country. I just came back from Puerto Vallarta, and I think the beauty of Mexico, the people there. I mean, we go often. My wife and I go often. There's certain places we won't travel because of certain elements that are in Mexico, but we love being in Mexico. So my roots are Guanajuato. Both my grandfathers are from Guanajuato. My grandmother, my mom's mom, is from Tlaxcalca, Michoacan. So when we were young and my grandmother was alive, we enjoyed all the American festivals like Thanksgiving. Thanksgiving was an amazing event, and my mom took over her cooking. It was a traditional Thanksgiving dinner, and just like the gabachos do here. And my mom did the same thing, and I do the same. And I tell you what, the Saturday before Thanksgiving, you're invited to my house here in Fillmore.
Oh, thank you.
I do a really good Thanksgiving dinner, just like my mom did and my grandmother. And I make about 15 quarts of turkey gravy, which is a ton of gravy.
Wow. That's
Yeah.
a lot of gravy. Yeah.
So we'll get back to the topic. I am just looking forward to Trump fixing a lot of the things that were wrong. The border obviously is a very hot topic, especially last night I spoke with one of my wife's cousins. She was on the phone and we were talking a little bit about it because, they like to make fun of me because they know I like Trump. And I'm like, I understand. I just told her the things that is making the issues a hotter topic, excuse me, excuse me, for the immigration are the drug cartels and the gangs that are being blatantly breaking the laws. I mean, they're doing horrible things over here, and I think that George Soros has a lot to do with a lot of these district attorneys turning a blind eye to local injustices and not prosecuting people. All these young kids were emboldened to go and loot stores because if you didn't take over $900, they weren't going to prosecute you. Can you do that in Mexico? What would they do to you in Mexico if you were to just go in and just start taking stuff?
Well, yeah, you will get, someone is going to, come after you.
I think they're going to come after you and they're going to beat you. That's what they're going to do. To be honest,
Yeah,
is a little bit different in Mexico than it is here.
yeah.
And and that's fine. I mean, certain measures are definitely need to be taken. So, Biden stopped drilling. He stopped all our oil and gas exploration. He literally put a stop to it at day one. And what did he do? He let Russia do everything that he didn't let us do here. We wouldn't be in any wars right now. Trump has not stepped into office, and within 24 hours, Hamas reached out to President Trump to ask for a ceasefire.
Okay.
And
That's
according to his son or his, I don't remember who I was listening to. He said Trump said that Israel needs to make a final and decisive victory against Hamas, and that's really what they need to do, because what they did to Israel was uncalled for. So,
And for example, you were saying that you expect Trump to fix many of the things that you already mentioned. For example, in migration, which is a very big issue. You
Yes.
you mentioned a few things now, like the way you were talking about the border and border security and all this violence which is taking place, unfortunately, in Mexico, but also in the U.S. now. I mean, we have
Yes.
it on both sides. How would Trump, uh, foresee a solution for
You
this
know,
particular problem? It's because migration is a big problem, and I think now more than ever we have realized that it's a multinational problem. It's not only to be attacked or tackled by one country. So you have to be like part of the same policy or strategy to
mm,
finish.
right.
How would you do it, or not finish it? Because I think to finish migration, it will be very difficult, but at least try to organize it or try to find ways in which we don't have all these issues.
Right. I think that people don't quite realize. I know because I've had employees that were undocumented, and I understand what they're dealing with. When you know the ins and out of how they work and how they earn and how they also file and pay taxes, okay, because every one of those workers that is working illegally, they pay taxes. So these people that come to work, I would say by all means they need to figure a pathway for these people that they've been here for years, instead of, I know that Trump is he has a very strong way of saying things, and he really shocks everybody, even myself. When he was first running for president, I was having a hard time swallowing his rhetoric about the immigrants. Okay, because I'm very close to him. So something that's different than his last 4-year term was that he now will have the full power of Congress. He will have majority, a Republican majority in the House and in the Congress too, in the Senate, to actually get, I think, some things done. A lot of these, I think for the last 4 years we've heard Biden and Harris say, "Oh, well, we had a bill there, and Trump didn't do it." Well, these bills that some of the Democrats or even some of the Republicans, I'm going to blame both sides, put up, have so much pork fat, like things for their own constituents, millions of dollars for this or millions of dollars for that, and it's not about the actual main topic. If they pass that bill, then they have to spend all this other money for all these other things to appease these politicians, because they're trying to get, trying to look good with their constituents. And I think they really need to fix that. They really need to get this down to, okay, what is the problem? These people that want to come and immigrate legally, let them do it. Let them have licenses. That way they can get car insurance. They passed that law because they figure, all these people that were driving cars illegally because they wanted to get to work and they were having accidents, and then they're running away because they have no insurance. Well, if they allow them to get licenses, they actually will get the insurance because it's the law. So if they put everything in place that should be, they get their social security number. They're literally, I mean, they're putting money into it. Why don't they get it back when they retire? If they do everything correctly, we're going to have a very strong country. We're going to have good people looking to come to the United States that can be productive. There this thing, the job that Trump has to do to go through and vet these people that have come in, and I'm sure he's going to be looking for the lawbreakers first, okay, to move them out. And because that, I mean, when you have a sovereign border, it shouldn't be just millions and millions of people coming in unvetted and being lost in the country. Children, without parents. I mean, this thing is an act was a complete disaster. And I think if the last things that I've been hearing on the news, they're like asking these Democrats, why did you lose? What is it that you didn't do? They appointed a presidential nominee. They didn't vote for her. They appointed her. She ran for president, and she didn't even make it to the first debate because she didn't get anything. So how can they pick somebody that never passed one debate to be president? And that's why I tell Democrats, I said, you had an appointed nominee. I mean, how does that feel? That's almost like being in England and knowing who your next king is going to be. And the powers to be. It's really sad. But I think immigration is really, really a hot topic. Like I said, I have no problem with people coming to this country. This country was made with immigrants from all over the world, and I've met many. Being in the produce market for 25 years, we would have influx of Russians, of Armenians, of from all countries, and if you embrace that, then you make friends from all over the world, and that's always been a fascination to me of asking people, where are you from, and how is your life there? What why are you here? And most of it is opportunity. They're all here to make money, to raise a family.
Yeah, excellent, excellent. Just a reminder to the people who are seeing or listening this podcast. This is Globedades, a podcast from the Faculty of Global Studies at Universidad Anáhuac, Mexico. My name is Arturo Flores, and today we're talking to Rey Jímenez about the effects of Trump's election in the U.S. Ray, for example, in your business, you are in the produce sector. How would your business be affected in case that Trump decides to put the tariffs that he's saying he's going to put on Mexican products, about 25% or more, in the very near future, which is linked to what you were just saying before about fixing the situation, because he seems to be like pushing Mexico to like fix your situation in terms of the governance of the country itself, and then otherwise I will put these tariffs.
Yeah.
So I think there he's trying to looking at different problems, migration, drug trafficking, all these issues which are part of a bilateral agenda.
Yeah, as you mentioned before, you did say this is a multinational problem, right? And I think that each country does need to be responsible for what goes out of their borders as well as what comes in, right? Trump's tariffs is a way for him to try to solve a solution. I know it's harsh. He did it before, Arturo. He put a tariff on the products from Mexico before, because the people were caravanning and they were coming to the border and they were making an absolute mess. And he made Mexico stand up and stop it. So I think that as long as Mexico is willing to work in good faith to solve to do the best they can, this is probably not a problem that can go away in one day or 1 year. This is and I think Trump is a very reasonable person. I think that if he sees a problem and he needs help fixing it, that's his way of asking for help. It's not really, I'm going to torture you, because he knows that the agriculture business for Mexico and for the United States is gigantic. It is probably one of the largest industries. So there's no way that he's going to do like Joe Biden did and said, "Oh, we're not drilling oil." That was a huge mistake. You know how much money that I have paid individually for the last 4 years for like gasoline over $5. You know,
Mm.
it it is absolutely horrible. So I think that's his way of saying, look, let's negotiate. He's a great negotiator. Let's get to the table. When you have somebody that's not responding, then you need to wake them up, and you
Yeah,
need to say, look, I am going to do this until you do something that is reasonable. He's not unreasonable. He's not a tyrant, and he's not a dictator, but he is. I think. I believe me, I was in the dark before when he started running for president. I was in the dark how our news media was so biased,
mm.
and they were telling us they still today a lot of the news media they don't tell the truth. They don't tell the truth. So I don't. I'm not worried about him saying, "Hey, I'm going to do this," because I know he's looking for a solution. He's not looking to create a lifelong problem.
Yeah, and well, the future for this relationship that we have between the U.S. and Mexico. How do you see the future of this relationship? And do you see that, for example, in 2 years we have the renegotiation of the agreement that we have between Mexico, the U.S., and Canada? And well, some analysts are saying today that maybe Trump could cancel, the agreement and things like that. Very extreme measures, which personally I don't think that is going to happen. But anyway, it is being part of the bus which has been around for the last couple of days. Uh, from your perspective, how do you see the future of our relationship? Do you see we're going to have like a harsh relationship, or is it going to be like smooth, or is it going to be? How do you see that?
Is it the thing that's in place? I don't know the name of it. Is to replace NAFTA, correct?
Yeah, yeah, exactly. We
What?
have to renegotiate, well, which is
Yeah,
like analyzing and looking at which are some of the pros and cons and all these things,
right.
basically.
But the system that is placed wasn't that done by Trump?
Yeah, because this agreement was signed under his administration,
Okay.
basically. Yeah.
So I think that I'm almost positive that when they come to the terms to the table, I mean, I don't see why he would want to cancel this. Okay, because I know that there's a lot of American interest and a lot of American money in Mexico trying to export to the United States. So I don't think that it would be in his best interest just to say let's just cancel it, let's just not do anything anymore, because that's you're talking about billions and billions of dollars in trade through the United States and as well as Canada. So he's pro business. Okay, he's pro business. So that would be totally against his natural agenda. I think that if they sit down and talk, I think Mexico came to the table the last time he threatened them with more tariffs. They did what they had to do. I don't think it's unreasonable for them to actually do the same thing. They should have been doing this for the last 4 years, but the reason they didn't is because they had somebody in the White House that just let everything go. There was no power. Joe Biden had no power to do anything, not with Ukraine, not with Russia, not with China, um, with Hamas. I mean, the first thing that these people did, and it went back to Barack Obama. He's the first one that started this. He gave billions of dollars to Iran, and now that's the money that's funding all this terror. So why would you do that? Why would you give money to terrorists and allow them to build up their infrastructure for war? And that's really sad.
Mm. So then you foresee a future where, well, the agreement that we have would be like uh, consolidated and looking at the regional, or to put it in other words, like to look more like regional partners who are like trying to find the best way to strengthen the North American region, because you have other competitors, of course, outside.
Yes, of course, of
You have
course.
competition from Asia and from Europe itself, from other economic blocks in a way.
Right,
So
right.
so so your forecast is that our region will be strengthened, and then that we will continue having all this trade and all this relationship that we have,
Yes, exactly.
right?
Yes.
Um, would you like to say something else in the sense of your your business? Like your own business. What is the main difference that you will have with Biden versus Trump? Biden administration versus Trump administration.
So let's just take oil. Okay, let's just pick that one topic because that drives so many factors in agriculture.
Okay.
Oil produces obviously the fuel for the trucks. The
Mhm.
cost of the fuel for the trucks affects the rates that the trucks are charging. Um, I used to pay $3,500 for a load of produce to go to the East Coast.
Okay.
Now it's probably six to $8,000. Okay,
Twice as much, nearly.
yeah. Tires cost more because that's oil. Fertilizer costs more because that's oil.
Uh huh.
Boxes, our boxes are we use wax boxes. Those cost more. They make them with wax and they make plastic boxes. That's oil.
Mm.
Everything that we touch in our life has to comes from it's a derivative of oil. So if the oil price is high, all of those things are going to go up. When I started my produce business and we were actually growing and having to buy cartons, I used to pay about 75 cents or even 60 cents for a carton to pack 30 bunches of cilantro.
Hmm.
Today, that box costs about a dollar 30, a dollar 40.
Wow.
Yeah. The main cost on the because it's paper and wax. The main cost is the wax.
Hmm. Hmm.
Okay. So China bought all the technology from the United States for the wax, and now they have to import it from China. So
Mm.
that's where Trump is like, why do we bring our medicine from China? The pharmaceuticals. I don't know if that has to do with oil. It probably does, but
Hmm.
I mean, that's just that one item is a problem. The immigration is the thing that helps us with labor because we cannot get either a high school student or a a high school student or a college educated student to go into the field and harvest cilantro
Hmm.
because they're the children that are born here in the United States, even if they're from uh, like let's just say they're first generation from Mexican family, there is very seldom that they follow their parents into that realm, and actually the parents don't want that for them. They want their children to go out, get an education, get a good paying job, go off to be doctors or lawyers or even in the masons or carpenters or anything. Those are hard jobs, but they're not as strenuous as being out in the sun working bent over for 8 hours a day or 10 hours a day. There's a lot more benefits to being in a carpenters union. You get to retire after 30 years and have a pension. There's no pensions for the people in the field. There's nothing. There's a lot of things that need to be fixed.
Yeah. Yeah. Absolutely. Absolutely. Well, Ray, it has been a pleasure talking to you today, and it is not going to be the last time. I'm sure that we'll share this podcast. Hopefully, we'll meet quite soon to talk about other issues.
Okay. Okay, that would be nice. I know that I get off topic. There's so many things in my head and so many things that have been wrong with this last 4 years. Believe me, I pray that God guides our president and that he guides Mexico as well. I pray for the people of Mexico because they need a better life as well. To have some of these situations with the lawlessness out there, that their lives are in danger. The worst thing is to be home knowing that you're in danger. And we have, at least some of our people have that peace right now, and I think more of our people are going to have that peace where we don't have the lawlessness. And that's we have a saying that your home is your castle, but if your castle is under siege, then that's not a good place to be.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. Well, thank you, Ray. This was Globedades, a podcast from the Faculty of Global Studies at Universidad Anáhuac, Mexico. My name is Arturo Flores, and I hope to see you very, very soon.